What is up, my people? I never really like doing these. I like coming to a show with having some type of plan, some type of something, some type of content idea. Tonight's a show where it's all driven by you guys. This is a Q&A session. You guys ask questions, I answer them. If there are no questions, you're going to get a whole lot of me rambling. So, it could be any question you want. I would prefer it to be, some type about something about Georgia football. But hey, if you want to ask me my favorite barbecue chicken recipe or something like that, I'm a big guy. If you want to ask me a food question, go ahead and do that. So while you guys get the questions, it took all of 30 seconds to get who starts at quarterback right here. Um, Hey, what was that? Corn Dog 27? If you've been reading Dogs Daily this week, you already know the answer to that. We are under the estimation or under the assumption that it will be JT Daniels, or excuse me, Stetson Bennett getting the first reps. That would have been breaking news, right? Yeah, it's going to be most likely Stetson Bennett getting those first team reps on Saturday. And then after that, your guess is as good as mine as to who's going to get those second reps. If there are second reps, look, if Stetson Bennett comes out there and plays lights out, I truly believe that, they might ride with him. I could imagine them playing out this whole entire game with Stetson Bennett at the quarterback position. I think they feel comfortable with him, and that's about all you can ask for heading into a situation like this with Auburn. Um, you know, I'm under the firm belief that they still don't fully know whether or not they can trot JT Daniels out there and feel comfortable about him being 100% healthy. I think if that were the case, you would have seen and heard from Kirby a little bit more on Daniels. If you remember on Monday, when Kirby Smart had his press conference, he was asked about JT Daniels being cleared. And he basically said it's going to be really hard to get him into practice and get him some game reps because that's just not normally what happens during the week. Typically during the week, you guys are it's scouts versus ones. Everybody's putting a game plan together. Good on good never really happens. Live situations never really happen. Things like that. So it's really hard to get a look at him. It's no different really than what he's been going through and what he's been allowed to do during practice up until this point during camp, even before the season opened. So he was playing a lot of situational stuff prior to the season during camp, and I think he's been doing the same thing for the most part at practice nowadays. So let's get up. Let's go all the way back up. Corn Dog, we already hit you, so we're going to skip your Nolan Smith question. We got one from Law Dog 2011. Can I get an Eagle COVID-19? Don't know what that means. Eagle COVID-19. There you go. I think he was asking about maybe an update on Auburn's COVID-19 situation, to which I've got nothing for you there, my friend Law Dog. Support the men in blue there, Law Dog. All right, Eric Bowers over on YouTube said, who is RB2 in your mind? My opinion doesn't really matter, but I think Kenny McIntosh played the second best of all the backs on Saturday. But I will tell you this. To me, it seems that Todd Monken is pretty adamant about making James Cook a piece of this offense. If you read any of the stuff we put up on Dogs Daily this summer about James Cook's involvement in this offense, sources led us to believe that he was going to be a primary ball catching threat out of the backfield. So we see how that's kind of turned out so far. I think he had, 3 or 4 targets out of the backfield on Saturday, but that's really about it. So yeah, I think the second best running back on roster right now is Kenny McIntosh, and then I would even go as far as to say Kendall Milton. But Kendall's got some things to learn, and I'm sure somebody will ask me about Kendall before the night's over. So I'll save that for what he's got to learn. Hey Brooks, how did you feel about the O-line switch up Kirby and Coach Luke made? Do you think that line starts this week? So I believe what you're talking about is Erickson coming in at center, Trey Hill bumping out, and McClendon going to right tackle. I don't know what they're going to do, but what I will say is I would prefer McClendon to start at right tackle. I'm a firm believer that Trey Hill is a good center. He may have some blunders every now and then, but he's a better center than he is a guard, which makes you a better football team if you have him on the field. If he's going to be playing guard, that's fine. Warren Erickson's good. I was really impressed with the way Erickson played on Saturday. I really do think Ben Cleveland wasn't really made for this system. I think Ben Cleveland is a type of offensive lineman that's made to play like Georgia has over the last 4 years. Downhill, inside run game, things like that. I can't count on. I think I can count on two hands how many screens Georgia's ran over the last 4 years. They ran 5 or 6 of them on Saturday. So the getting guys out and getting big heavy offensive linemen running in space, blocking corners and stuff like that. They released Ben Cleveland on a screen pass Saturday. It's the one that hit him in the back. He was responsible for going to block the corner. And guys, I just don't think that's putting that guy into successful circumstances. So we'll just have to see what they end up going with. In my offensive line, I think I said this on Twitter the other day. What I would do is start Sawyer at left tackle, Warren Erickson at left guard, Trey Hill at center, Ben Cleveland at right guard, and give McClendon the start out there at right tackle. How do you think the O-line fares against this Auburn defensive line? Look, Auburn's D-line lost a lot. If you could stop Big Cat Bryant, I think you're going to be okay as far as those positions go. So, that's kind of my idea there. We got our first super chat from Jonathan Williams. We appreciate Jonathan supporting the show. He didn't leave a question, but he got in there with a super chat. We appreciate him for doing that. So let's get in here. We got rumors flying on the chat right here. Brooks, heard a rumor JT is waiting on clearance from his personal doctor. Heard anything? No, I have not. I don't typically like to bother with medical stuff. Number one way to kind of tick Kirby off is to start trying to dig into medical stuff and get into that Ron Corson area. Unless I know somebody close to the kid. And the kid's from Cali. I don't know anything about that kid. Didn't cover him in high school, nothing like that. So I'm not going to dig in on JT Daniels too much as far as his health goes. But that could make sense. His personal doctor cleaned it up in January. So his personal doctor may have the last call on something like that. Let's see here. Did we already hit the Georgia O-line fares versus the Auburn D-line? I think they push them around a little bit. We were talking about stopping Big Cat Bryant. I think if you stop Big Cat Bryant and push him around at the point of attack, I think they're going to be okay. What's up, bro? I believe RB1 is Jameer White. 100% Jerry Dover. Your best running back at Georgia right now is Jameer White. And if you watched him play on Saturday, there are really, really good feelings about just how healthy he is moving forward. He looked, to me, side-to-side ability looked just like he did in high school. I don't know if he's still I thought in high school on tape, he looked to me like a 4.44, 4.42 type of runner with the ball in his hands. I don't know if he's that fast again, but he's certainly that athletic and explosive in horizontal movements, which if you guys watched DeAndre Swift over the last 3 years at Georgia, that's what it was. Those jump cuts, making the first man miss, that's what made that guy so great. And that's what really makes all backs great. Almost all backs nowadays are, 4.6 or faster. So they can all run fast. They all have pretty good vision. Not all of them. I shouldn't say all of them. But the ability to make one miss is the most important things. We already hit this one. Personal doctor. Let's hit H-Deuce_P. What a name right there, H-Deuce. Hey, Brooks, I say this game comes down to rush offense and run defense. What say you? It's what I've been saying all week on radio stations when they call and ask my opinion about the football game. I think if you can run the football, it's the SEC, man. It's the key to success almost everywhere. If you can run the ball successfully on early downs and get into manageable situations on second and third down, you've got a really, really good shot at winning the football game. Vice versa, if you can stop the other team from having success on early downs, you can get off the field and you can hold the football on the offensive side of the ball. So, yeah, all those are all. I think that's going to remain true for the remainder of time right there. Got another super chat right there from Brent. You guys got to add your comment in there too. Please don't just send the money. But here's his question. Brent Wilson, what does Stetson Bennett need to do to keep DeJuan Mathis and JT Daniels off the field? Be explosive. It's not enough to control the football. It's not enough to complete, not have hardly any explosive plays except for a screen pass thrown to George Pickens that he made a man miss and ran for 18 yards on a score. It's not okay to average, I think it was 11 yards per completion. That's not what Monken's offense is. Monken did not get brought in here for Charlie checkdowns. So if Stetson Bennett wants to hold on to this job at the quarterback position, he's going to have to, and I mean have to, create explosive plays with his arm. He's got to be able to show to this coaching staff that he can drive the ball down the football field. If you guys remember on Saturday, the first couple series, man, they were dialing up shots for Dwan Mathis to throw the ball deep. They were trying to get him, opportunities to throw the ball down the field. They just didn't hit on him, or they were getting sacked quite often. So that's kind of the main thing for me. Get these guys, A, get them into winnable situations. B, Stetson's got to be able to show that he can drive the ball down the field. UGA stats. Thanks for the film studies. Can you share the film from the Arkansas game? No, sorry. That is a deal I've made with a buddy of mine that is helping me out. Not going to tell you who it is, and I can't give. That's like a source. Can't be out here giving up sources. Sorry about that. But hey, here's what you can do. You can just record the football games on your television. That's what I do before my guy gets me the cut-ups. I literally record the game, even if I'm at the game, and record the game, come back on Sunday and watch it. Skip the commercials and watch it. Your fast forward and your rewind are just as good as what I've got on YouTube as well. So if you want to watch it that way, watch it that way. If not, just wait till Monday and we can watch it all together. We can rewatch it all together, which is what we did this Monday. All right, Chris Allen, Kirby Smart's defenses have not been known for getting sacks. With a weaker run game, typically than the Auburn brand, or with an Auburn brand new offensive line, do you expect more passing from AU and more sacks? Look, they didn't run the ball at all last week, hardly, against Kentucky. I think their leading rusher had 40 yards. Most of their rushing came from Bo Nix extending plays and scrambling. So I'm going to tell you right now, if Bo Nix has to drop back and throw the ball 40 times in this football game, it's going to get ugly. I mean, ugly for Georgia or for Auburn. If they have to sit back there and try to win this game with Bo Nix's arm. I do think they get after their quarterback. I think this is something that Kirby and Dan Lanning are going to dial up a bit more this season, as that offense starts to get more comfortable and putting up more points. I think that defensive staff's going to open up some things. They're going to fire a little bit more blitzes. They're going to stay in man a lot longer. If you saw in our film breakdown against Auburn, almost the whole reason Auburn fought back in that football game and started scoring points late was A, the offense from Georgia could not stay on the field. B, Georgia dropped back in this soft shell zone and just try to keep everything in front of them. I don't think they play like that with an explosive offense as they intend to have this year. Let's see, Lil Deuce _P again. I say the team eclipse 150 yards and will win. Solid prediction. If they eclipse 150 yards on the ground, I think it's a very good chance they win this football game. Matter of fact, you could borderline guarantee it that they'll win this football game. So who we got next? We got Wyatt Fielden. Brooks, how explosive will Auburn be on Saturday in comparative to last year? How different will it be is my question. Look, I went back and watched the whole first half of Auburn versus Kentucky. I know Chad Morris is their new offensive coordinator. They look like the same football team to me. I could be wrong. And then maybe there's some minor details that they've changed. I had an Auburn fan jump in my mentions today and tell me that, Chad Morris is going to get the ball to the tight ends more, and they're going to be more explosive. They're going to pound the ball, and they're going to run the ball. And then he ended the comment with, but they didn't do any of it against Kentucky because they didn't execute well, and they're going to do it Saturday against Georgia. Look, if you can't run the ball, if you can't get the ball to your tight ends like you so want to, he must have been telling folks that all year this offseason during pressers that they were going to get those guys the ball. He didn't do it in game one, so I don't know what makes him think he's going to roll into Athens and do as well. Jay Calloway with a super chat. Predictions for the offense against Auburn, scheme and execution based. Look, I think they come out and do a fairly similar thing that they did last week in terms of varying the personnel, trying to take shots early on accessible downs. But the difference this week, I think, is they really try to force feed Pickens. But look, I don't think you're going to see the full playbook from Todd Monken until Tuscaloosa. I don't think he's going to open up all the tricks in the bags until he goes to Tuscaloosa and takes on Alabama. Not only that, I think he's trying to hold back a lot for that football game. As you saw in our film study, there was a lot, and I mean a lot, for them to clean up on the offensive side of the football in terms of just missed assignments alone. I don't think all these guys have a full retention of the offense, which means you can't throw more on their plate. Okay, you can't give them more to eat until they've eaten what they have on their plate and held it down. Saturday, they puked a good bit of it up, okay? As someone who's going through a nursing baby right now, there was spit up all over that field on Saturday via missed assignments. So until you can clean that kind of stuff up, it's really not going to matter. We got Joe Carlton. Does a lefty center change anything for QB in the gun? I mean, yeah, the ball might spin a little bit different, but no. For me, what it changes is it affects the defensive lineman more. When I'm a shade technique or a zero, Arkansas is playing a heavy zero a lot Saturday, which is mean a guy straight up onto the center. What that does is it's messing with where he was finding his advantage. When Trey Hill was snapping with his right hand, that right hand's in between his legs at the point of contact 95% of the time. Most of your slim moves, most of your rip moves will all work to that side typically. Okay, that's where you're going to end up winning early as a defensive pass rusher. Now, when a lefty comes in, that completely flips things over. As a quarterback, no, nothing really changes except for maybe the minor spin difference. But again, we're talking about a 5-yard snap, so it's really nothing that's all that big of a change for guys, especially considering these guys have been taking snaps all summer and all fall. It's literally all they do. You start practice every day with what we call QC exchange, quarterback center exchange. You're down there in a stance. It's the most miserable thing as a center because you're the only one that has to do it. All the other jokers in pre-practice are over there jerking off, doing nothing, tying their cleats up, playing grab butt, doing all that stuff. You're over there actually working. Your practice starts 15 minutes before everybody else's. So it was just miserable all 5 years of college because I always had to be out there. Story time with Brooks. I know it was a Q&A. But no, they've been doing QC exchange for 15 minutes a day for 6 months now. I mean, even when there wasn't practices, I guarantee you they probably got together and did some snaps. If they didn't, it's like riding a bike. It's literally this most simple portion of the game, and sometimes it gets messed up. Just like sometimes you miss calls in baseball, you get crossed up with your catcher. Same kind of thing, I would imagine. Are you going to continue to do the film breakdown weekly? Absolutely, Corndog27. Man, you guys got some names on here. Corndog27, we will absolutely be doing more and more film studies. I'm going to try to do one every Monday night at 9 o'clock. What our typical schedule throughout the week is Monday, we're all going to sit down together here on the live stream. We're going to watch the tape together. I'll give you my pointers, where they messed up, where they need to get better, all kinds of things like that. On Tuesday nights, I stay up till the break of dawn typically and break down the defensive film. So I believe their next game's Tennessee. So what I'll go do is I'll go watch Gorantano. Well, Brian Maurer started that game, but I'll go watch Tennessee versus Georgia last year up in Knoxville, and I'll bring you a breakdown of that on Tuesday or on Wednesday morning. And then Thursday nights, I'm going to try to do something like this where it's just us interacting and things like that. Here we go. I think I saw a Broderick Jones question. It's the next one we're going to hit. What? Forgive the name, YFOEN. Your phone? This is going to be my problem with screen names. I'm sorry when we do these things. I apologize. Hit me up on Twitter and let me know how to say that because I hope you're going to be around. How bad is our defense missing Keely Ringo? I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't know how much he was going to play early in the football season. That cornerback's room is so deep, so deep. DJ Daniel, barely he had to wait till the second quarter, I believe, to even get on the field on Saturday. So, yeah, he probably would have been playing some, but it wasn't going to be like he was going to be the counterpoint to Eric Stokes. Like I think Georgia's got 3 NFL caliber corners right now in DJ Daniel, Tyson Campbell, and Eric Stokes. Where does Keely Ringo fit in that mix when he gets healthy? Because he'll be healthy before the end of the season. Whether or not they play him is a whole nother topic of discussion. Where does he fit in that? I don't know. Is he fourth? Is he the fourth man up? Probably. Does that mean he's getting playing time? Absolutely. Does it mean he's going to be starting and playing 40 snaps a game? Probably not. I saw a lot of people saying he's going to play in the slot and be a star. I'm going to have to see that. They're reading the dude's bio and seeing he's 6'2", 205, and he's every bit of it. He's rocked up and solid. I didn't see a guy in high school that was laying licks, okay? I saw a cover corner. Let him play cover corner when he gets ready and gets healthy, especially with a guy who just had a banged-up shoulder. Last thing I'd want to do is run him out there and go make him play, star. So I think, he will play. As a matter of how much this year, I think that's yet to be determined. Let's hit Captain Battle. Do you think Broderick Jones will push for a starting spot this season? Look, here's the deal about Broderick. Broderick I compare him to Isaiah Wilson in the sense that if you guys remember when Isaiah Wilson came out of high school, 5-star, one of the nation's top talents at the tackle position, he had problems with conditioning levels, right? It was getting him into that Georgia heat, getting him accustomed to running and doing everything down here and getting ready to play on Saturdays in the SEC. It's not a conditioning issue with Broderick. It's a fact that he's only played tackle for about 3 years, maybe. He is so raw. When I mean raw, I mean like as raw as can be at the tackle position. But the great news is I truly believe you could throw him out there right now and he'd figure it out. He's that good of an athlete. He's one of the freakier athletes I've ever seen. I think I said it on Twitter. There was this trend about talking about the most, freakish athlete you've ever seen. Broderick's most freakish athlete I've ever covered. Seeing him up close, impersonal, in shorts and a T-shirt, you guys have no idea what this human being looks like. It is absolutely insane. It is bonkers. And that's why, despite the high school tape not looking great, the tech not looking great, the high school tape looks like it's supposed to for a guy that's that big and strong. But when I say it doesn't look great, I'm talking about the technique, which you still need in the SEC. Look, he's gained a good bit of weight. When I saw him, he was about 295 pounds. Now he's up to about 305, 307, 308 in that range. He's getting bigger. It's just a matter right now of cleaning the tech up, which, hey, that could take 2 months. That could take a full season before we see him at that tackle position. Look, Xavier Truss got the next reps. Broderick didn't even travel, I don't believe, last week. So that just goes to tell you. And he's been hurt most of camp. He's been dealing with some boo-boos most of camp as well. And he had, the motorcycle accident this summer, which if you guys follow him on Instagram, the fact that big boy Broderick Jones is on a motorcycle wouldn't surprise you. He doesn't hide it. He broadcasts it quite a bit. Jack Roberts, as a former O-lineman, do you think the O-line can improve their execution within a week or two, or is this a mid to late season type thing? The bust could be cleaned up in a week, I truly believe. I don't know what it was. I don't know if Coach Luke and Coach Monken felt that they had a full grasp of things, but it wasn't just the offensive linemen either. It was the tight ends too. I saw John Fitzpatrick blow a couple of assignments. And obviously the quarterback missed a bunch of reads as well. Both quarterbacks missed some reads on Saturday. So, yeah, I think here's what you got to understand. And I was saying this on the radio earlier today. Find me the offensive staff that changed offensive coordinators, got a new starting quarterback. Well, they still don't have a starting quarterback. They don't know who it is. It has 9 different offensive linemen playing. They played 9 offensive linemen on Saturday. Had 4 gone from a year ago, lost 4 starters on that offensive line, lost their primary go-to target for most of the year, Lawrence Cajun, before he got hurt. All those things. Find me an offense that lost all those things that scored 37 points last week. You probably can't. All right. Oklahoma had a similar circumstance happen, and they lost to Kansas State. So it could be much worse. I do think these things get cleaned up, though, with time. So that's the good news. With time comes improvement. Because I do believe in this coaching staff. I think they're really solid at what they do. They're all a bunch of former head coaches, man. They got 3 former head coaches or 3 head coaches on their staff. Todd Monk was the head coach of Southern Miss. Matt Luke was the head coach out there at Ole Miss, and of course you got Kirby. So, and I might even be missing one, but they got a bunch of head coaches and good coaches with a lot of experience. Do you think Auburn's inexperienced O-line will get exposed against Georgia's front seven? I thought they got kind of exposed last week. Yeah, I think these dudes from Georgia are going to push these boys around. If you watched our film breakdown last night or this morning of Auburn, whenever it went up, Wednesday morning, so yesterday morning, if you watch that, you'll notice that their game plan is to wear you down. That's how they run the football in the second half. Their second half rushing rate is much higher than their first half, even games that they're down in, because they eventually think you're going to wear down. The only difference is Georgia's going to play 8 guys on the interior defensive line this Saturday. They're going to play everybody to keep bodies fresh. Every time there is a new body coming onto the field for Auburn and they stand over the ball and let the defense change their personnel, you're going to see it. And hot take, you're probably going to see a Georgia guy get injured on Saturday. Somebody's going to catch a cramp on Saturday if midway through the third quarter, Auburn's pushing the ball and pushing the pace extremely hard. So, Savage Dog, yes, the D-line will eat this Saturday, of course. James Ivy, do you think Brett Seether or Darnell Washington get more snaps this season? Darnell played a ton on Saturday. I mean, a ton. Way more than I even thought he would. And when Trey comes back, I think you might see, Trey McKitty that is, I think you might see a Trey McKitty-Darnell rotation with John Fitzpatrick being the third wheel in that equation. I just thought Darnell blocked that well. I know Kirby said he was looking for a more improvement out of Darnell. He talked about coach speak this week. To me, that's coach speak, because I like to think that I know football. That kid played well this weekend against Arkansas, I thought. So when Trey comes back, I think you're going to see a 1-2 rotation with Darnell and Trey, and they're going to be on the field at the same time as well. Are our special teams as good as they looked? Was it more of Arkansas lacking the ability to play their best? I'm going to tell you what, I don't care who's on the field. Jake Camarda looked like a daggum All-American. I think he had, all 6 punts inside the 15-yard line, something crazy, some crazy statistic like that. Yeah, that dude, no matter who's on the field, because in that situation, it's the guy just pinning them deep. Nobody's going to return those balls anyways. Yeah, Jake Camarda looked like the truth. Now, the thing with him is he looked great all year, early in the year last year, and then it was nut-cutting time against Notre Dame. I think he hit a 28-yarder out of bounds. So let's hold off on the Camarda love, even though he looked really, really good on Saturdays. Return-wise, yeah, I think you could say that was more to say about Arkansas's coverage skills than Georgia's return skills. But look, man, if you've played ball, you know that all special teams is being a coordinator, at least. All it is coaching, coaching effort. It's attitude and effort. Look, I can tell you right now, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint hasn't probably made a tackle in a game of football since he was in middle school. When that kid went to St. Thomas Aquinas as a freshman, he played wide receiver, and that was it. He might have done some things in the back end, like late in games where they're in prevent defense, and it's like, hey, like they do with Julio in Atlanta. Hey, go stand on the goal line, and if they throw the ball up, pick it off. I think that is the full extent of what Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint's done on the defensive end of the football, and he made a tackle Saturday at Arkansas and looked like he'd been tackling for years. So if there's any indication of how they've coached that unit up, it's right there for me. Zamir White blocking a punt, it's right there. Getting those guys to make effort plays on those aspects of the football game is insane. If you've ever been to a high school football game, you know that special teams are typically a playoff for everybody. It's the same thing for the most part in college for those guys that have starting positions or on the 2 deep. Now, Prather Hudson, he's going to run like a bandit with his head on fire no matter what on special teams, because that's his job. Those other guys that have jobs, when you get them to buy in, that's incredible. James Ivy, I appreciate you for the 99-cent super chat right there. We appreciate you. Let's see here. Answer my question, son. James, I thought I hit you. We did. I'm a little bit behind here, guys. Sorry. From what you've seen from the offense, i.e. throwing the ball late in the game while up big, has Kirby given Monken the reins? 2 answers to this question solves everything. They had 89 plays on Saturday. 89. I said on Twitter, you guys probably saw it, I ain't got to go run over to Football Reference and dig through all 4 seasons of Kirby Smart as a head coach leading up to this year to tell you that's the most plays Georgia's ever ran in 4 years under Kirby Smart. Game 1, 89 plays. The other indication, 59.5% of the time on Saturday, they threw the football. You know how often that happened at Georgia? I don't know, but I can tell you this. Over the first 4 years of Kirby Smart's head coaching tenure at Georgia, they ran the ball 58% of the time on offense. Has he let loose of the reins? I'd say so. Another one, I mean, a first down throw in the red zone. Georgia fans have never seen that. Yeah, I'm sure if you didn't pay attention, if you were paying attention, your jaw probably dropped and didn't know how to react because you just have never seen it. A pass on 1st and goal inside the 10. What in the world? And it wasn't a fade down to the bottom. Like it wasn't. It was an actually designed red zone play, a pass play. So in the past, that would never happen. It's run, punt, protect my defense. Now it's let's score some daggone points and let's score them quick, which to me is handing over the reins entirely. Let's see here. Foghorn Leghorn. I'm telling you, names on these folks, man. Y'all got some names. All right, here we go. What is the key matchup for the O-line versus D-line for both teams? I think, up front for Georgia, it's just going to be about not missed assignments. We've been talking about it all week. And Auburn's going to do an odd front, which is tough to block as an offensive line. It requires a damn good center. So I think we can start there. If Auburn's nose tackle, I don't really know who it is, but because it's been Derek Brown for a century, it feels like. If that dude is controlling the inside of the interior of that offensive line, Georgia's going to have problems moving the football. That's just an odd front defense. If the zero can hold up 2 or 3 guys, KJ Britt, Owen Pappoe are going to run like rabid dogs all up and down that field. Both those guys can get up and go. Owen Pappoe can really get up and go. KJ Britt is more of a Monty Rice type football player, whereas Owen Pappoe, to me, is a mixture of Tyreek Stevenson and Nakobe Dean. He does all the linebacking stuff that Nakobe Dean does, but he can also do some of the coverage stuff that Tyreek Stevenson does. That's how they call him the freak for a reason, folks. He is I know we talked about Broderick. Owen's like close, probably a little bit better, like athlete pound for pound wise. Both of those guys, freakish. Owen's just gotten onto the field and played a ton, and he's just a damn good football player. So that's what I would say, off interior wise. I think the matchup between Pickens and whoever's covering him is going to be a good one. I know they got one decent cover guy, but he was going against a Kentucky offense last week that has no weapons on the outside. They got a running game, but 0 weapons on the outside. So I didn't think he got tested at all. That defensive backfield, they lost their 2 leading tacklers. Both of them were defensive backs, and they lost Igbignagni in the first round. Talking about name pronunciation, Noah Igbignagni. Practice that one, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Next, Kobe 111. Man, I hope you can ball. I really hope you can ball next, Kobe. If you ain't got a wet jump shot, go change your YouTube name right now. All right. Am I wrong for believing Auburn can't score 17 on Georgia, on us? Gus, offenses typically struggle mightily against Kirby. I see the Dogs winning comfortably if we take care of the football. I do think, I was asked for a prediction today. I do think you're looking at a 24-17 game. If it gets out of hand, a 35-17 football game. 35-14, 27-14 type of thing here between Auburn and Georgia. I just don't. To me, I'm like you next, Kobe. Again, you better be absolutely dynamite on the basketball court, like the first guy people want to pick up in a pickup game of hoops. You better be that good. I do think you're right. I don't think Auburn can establish the run enough to cause a threat deep wire, down the field. I really do think Auburn's going to be put in a lot of 3rd and 7+. And at that point, I like Georgia's chances a lot to not only get off the field, but possibly turn over Auburn's offense. My question is, do you think Bristol? We got James coming back with the Brett Seether question. No, I think as soon as Trey McKitty gets healthy, he's tight end 1, and then Darnell works behind him. That would be my thoughts on the position battle there. Even though I do think Seether looks like a great athlete. He looks like what people thought Isaac Nada was going to be his senior year. That sounds like a really big shot at Isaac Nada, and for that, I'm sorry. but Isaac Nada was limited athletically, and I think that played out at the NFL combine. Seether looked good, man. He looked like a really fluid and explosive athlete, which is what Georgia needs at the tight end position moving forward. We got Jermaine Dunbar Trucking ICC. Y'all hit up my boy Jermaine for all your trucking needs. When Georgia gets the offense figured out, can you see them putting up 45 plus a game? Let me run a Google search right quick. LSU football reference. 45 plus a game. My man, that's a lot of points. LSU put up 48.4 last year, by far and away number one. That's a lot. That is a lot of points. So I don't really know if that's happening on moving forward this year for Georgia. Maybe when Brock Vandagriff gets in here, Pickens is a little bit older. If he sticks it, he'll be here one more year after next year. He ain't gonna be here for 4. Spoiler alert. Dominic Blaylock gets back into this system. Jermaine Burton puts some weight on, which I have to admit that's something that I noticed on my guy. That's my guy. I'm very protective of my guys. I got a lot of stock in Jermaine Burton, man. If he duds on me, I'm gonna have a lot of people coming at my throat in my mentions. So he better not flop. And I don't think he's gonna, but he definitely looked to me on Saturday like he's gonna have to put some weight on. Those guys get a little older. Ladd McConkey, Justin Robinson, Marcus Rosemi, Jack Saint gets a lot older and more comfortable in this system. Then maybe there's a shot at 45 a game. They're still young, pretty much for the most part up front. And they're going to get better with that 2020 class they brought in, which is loaded with talent up front. So, yeah, I think there's a shot down the road that they score 45 plus a game. Probably not this year. James, I already read your comment, man. I'm not a scammer. I appreciate your money. I know it came straight from the heart. But if you saw all the comments over here, man, you know why I'm getting a little overwhelmed. And for that, I apologize. You commented on this 15 minutes ago. That's how far behind I am on the message thread. We'll hit your second one right here. I have another question. Do you think Darnell Washington and Lewis Cine have extra motivation because they have kids? I have a kid. Yeah, I have more motivation, I would imagine. But that's not what it boils down to on Saturday. No matter how much your motivation is, it might help you Monday through Friday to get up and go to work. But, if you're Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, it ain't really going to matter anyways. That comes from just the game. Like you got to have a love for the game there, in my opinion, because I played with a lot of dudes in college that had babies. It didn't really change how they played on Saturdays. You know what I'm saying? It might make you work harder Monday through Friday, which is going to make you a better football player. So, yeah, maybe there is some extra motivation there. But it's not like world breaking, I don't think. Darnell Washington is up for a big year offensively. Yeah, he's going to get a lot of reps. I'm not saying this is like a 40 reception year as a true freshman, but he's going to get a lot of reps because he's going to be blocking a lot. I think he blocked really well. I'll keep saying that over and over again. 45 a game with all SEC schedule, no way. I'm in agreement with you there, Savage Dog. That's a lot. Appreciate you, Husker Gray. We got a Nebraska Huskers fan hopping in here telling us he liked the last breakdown. That's always good love right there. Do you ever get a total count of defensive personnel that saw the field Saturday? Look, Jay, I really wish this outfit over here at dogsdaily.com was filled with, 15 guys and 5 minions, but it's really not. It's like me and 3 or 4 of some really good people that help me out. It's not a huge outfit. So what I'm not going to do is go rewatch the game tape and get my binoculars out and try to count who was on the field. Nor do I have access to anything like Pro Football Focus or anything like that. I don't want to pay for it. I don't care about their grades. So does it behoove me to go on there and read how many times Warren Brinson got on the field? Maybe, but it's not that big of a deal to me because I rewatch it anyways and I watch every play. I'm not sitting there and putting a tally mark down, but I can tell you who the third down pass rushing group is for Georgia, the personnel packages that they're trying to get to. To me, that's more important than rep shares, because here's something that you need to know about Georgia's defense. They play guys situationally based off what they're getting from the opposition. So on third down, you're going to see third and long. You're going to see big guys like Malik Herron run off the field. You're going to see Jordan Davis run off the field. You're going to see Adam Anderson, Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, guys like that run onto the field. Okay, it's like that throughout the game. They're going in and out, playing a bunch of guys, personnel package-wise, which is why at halftime every game, I write a halftime's notes where I give you all my personnel notes, things that I'm watching, the more important things than, hey, Brinson played 5 snaps this week. That's all good. He got some game reps, but did he make any plays during those 5 snaps? That's where you need to come to me for, not for whether or not I'm counting reps. My coach used to always say, don't count the reps, make the reps count. Yeah, real cheesy, right? God love. Where we at? You think Clay Webb makes an impact Saturday? I don't know how fully healthy Clay Webb is. When I hear ankle injury, I'm a guy who had a bunch of them at the offensive line. I'm surprised I still got tendons left in my feet. If he wasn't on that bus Saturday for Arkansas, that thing was pretty jacked up last week. I would have ventured to say it was a high ankle sprain. A traditional ankle sprain is not keeping an offensive lineman off the field. I don't care. I had too many of them to tell you that all it takes is a tape job underneath, a tape job over it, and you can figure it out. You're not cutting. You're not, running whip routes. You're not doing anything like that. You're literally taught to step like this as an offensive lineman, just like this. And with kick slide, it's like this. There ain't a whole lot of doing this like wide receivers do and running backs and quarterbacks. So, yeah, if he wasn't playing last week, that thing's jacked. So if he is playing this week, he's going to be immobile, which if Kirby doesn't need him, he's not going to play him. You follow me? That's kind of the MO for Kirby Smart in his history as a head coach. AU secondary has new pieces but return players with game reps. You think UGA attacked the air enough to thin the box of an Auburn defensive line that's likely much weaker than last year, or run and wear down AU? Man, took some retention to ask or to read that question and hold on to everything. So I think what you're getting at is, will Auburn's defensive line in front seven be able to hold up? Yeah, maybe for a quarter or so. I mean, hell, Arkansas's defensive line held up. So I guarantee you they got bigger and better bodies at Auburn. Matter of fact, hot take, they do. So they're going to have to prove that they can run the football. I am worried, if I'm an Auburn fan, about what that secondary looks like. But if they get pass rush, it's not going to matter. If they get after the quarterback, it's really not going to matter how bad that secondary is. Just like we saw at Arkansas last week. I don't think they locked everybody up. They just stopped the run. Bumper Pool was playing like a madman, and Georgia couldn't protect their quarterback. So there you go. At the very beginning of the game. And even when Stetson came in, they were just getting the ball out of their hands quickly. So there's that. I'd take 30-plus with our defense and would be fine. I think that's a good point. Take the 30 points. If they score 30 a game, y'all going to be straight. 28 and no turnovers is likely enough to win UGA a full SEC schedule. I disagree with that, Jack Roberts. I do think Georgia's going to have to score points in 2 football games this year, and a lot of them. Then they're going to have to score a lot against Alabama, and I think they're going to have to score a lot against Florida. I know y'all ain't going to like to hear this, and I've been the biggest Kyle Trask hater in the world. He looks so comfortable, man. He looked so comfortable in game 1, and I know it's Ole Miss, but no quarterback looked as comfortable with the system at Georgia as Kyle Trask did last week. And that Kyle Pitts is the truth. Y'all figured that out in the first half last year. The only difference is this year they've got at least a couple of decent weapons vertically on the outside. I know they lost Van Jefferson and they lost Freddie Swain from last year, but the Tony kid looked good last week too. So, and to me, Kyle Trask was winning a lot with ball placement. He's just so comfortable in his decision-making right now in week 1. But again, I don't think Ole Miss got hardly any pressure on that kid. They didn't really fluster him, and it wasn't really that big of a football game. They were up big, midway through the second quarter. So is it going to look like that against Georgia? Probably not. Are you going to have to score more than 28? Absolutely. I think in those 2 football games. You might look up down in Jacksonville, and it's, 35-28 going into the fourth quarter. I think it could be like that if it's, if they're not careful. Just want to say I appreciate breakdowns and expertise. Captain Battle, I appreciate you. that's why we're doing this tonight, to give you guys a voice. I know I don't get the chance to take questions and things like this too much during the film breakdowns because I'm up and down looking at the screen, talking through things. We are going to take all super chat questions on Monday's film study, though. So anybody that wants a question there will get their questions answered. Who do you think may step up to be wide receiver 2? I think Kearis Jackson made it a point that it's going to be him this past weekend. Is it going to remain that way? I don't know. We'll have to see. But they're obviously very comfortable throwing that guy the ball in confined spaces. At least Stetson Bennett is. He probably got his head taken off Saturday. So I think right now my bet would be on Kearis to be that number 2 guy on Georgia's wide receiver unit. What's the ceiling of the offense this year in your opinion? I think you're looking at 35 points a game, 30, maybe 38 points a game. Yeah, something like that. It ain't going to be 48 points a game like LSU. But an all SEC schedule, look, you got to remember you're not getting the cupcakes like Murray State where you get to score 52 points and run up the seasonal average. So I think you're going to see season averages come down as a whole on offensive averages. So, yeah, that's kind of my opinion there. Let's see here. Dante E. G offense put up 28 basically in one half. Relax, people. The points are coming, and the offense is going to be dynamic. We're still working out the kinks. I think that's a good point from Dante. Y'all did score, 37. You scored 32 points in the second half. So a little bit better than 28 points and a half. But 7 of those came from the defense. So you scored 25 points in the second half. So still not as good as I think my math's right there. I don't know. Yeah, they're going to score some points this year. I do believe that Monk is going to get a lot of this stuff cleaned up. Who quietly had a great game that no one is talking about? From Arkansas, who had a great game? You know what? I thought Matt Landers blocked really well on the edge. The only wide receiver that did, to be honest with you. I expected Kearis to block well. He didn't. Jermaine Burton looked like he might not have ever been asked to block ever in high school, or at least that was his welcome to the SEC moment. George is never, ever interested in blocking unless he's the primary block. If he's the backside block, I mean, to me, it looks like he takes plays off. If he's just even if he's designed to run people off, it looks a little rough as a blocker. Now, when he gets pissed off, that's when you see the highlight blocks, which I think is what's so frustrating about George Pickens. Man alive. If he just focused and took effort on every single play, he might be one of the greatest to ever do it. Like, period. Like, college football player, wide receiver ever. If he actually just, like, took over 100% of the game, like, just focused every single rep, he would be like Michael Crabtree good at Texas Tech, if you guys remember those days. But he's still young, but he's getting older, obviously. Jordan, I don't know. I think that was a response to somebody else. Do you feel like special teams will be the deciding factor in this game? Who has the edge in your opinion? I don't think the special team, they'll be a factor. They won't be the deciding factor. I think the deciding factor Saturday is front seven, period. With both those offensive line units having major changes, whichever offensive line unit performs best will likely win this football game, in my opinion, unless Bo Nix just goes berserk. I mean berserk. Unless something like that happens, I think you guys at Georgia have the advantage. Do you see Demetrius Robinson having a breakout year? Let me double check this. I don't remember. Demetrius might have had like 2 catches on Saturday. Let me double check. He had 4 receptions on Saturday for 29 yards. Not looking great. For Demetrius Robinson to be having 7.3 yards per catch in the first football game, not looking great for a breakout season. Now, if it's any comparison to what he did last year, yeah, I think he surpasses 333 yards or whatever it was last year. Last year wasn't his best season, in college, obviously. Georgia playing man mostly and not cover 3 zone. That almost cost them the game last year. Against Auburn? Not to me, man. I watched the tape I saw. Looked like they were in, man-to-man defense in the first half and then set back in a soft shell and cover 3 and cover 4. That's what I saw. Now, at the end of the game, they brought blitz and got back into man coverage, but there's 32 minutes worth of a film breakdown. We can argue on that one. Probably don't feel like batting it out right now. Even though I do have the tape, we can probably split screen right here if it really gets to that. Or you can just take my word for it. Jack Roberts, LMAO, my bad, hard question, 200 limits. Hey, man, you're good. I appreciate the questions, period. Goj. Is this like our version of Woj over here? We got a Goj bomb right here. Jackson showed he can hold on to the ball, that's for sure. Daggum right. That dude is tough as nails. Caroline Stanley, I don't have an update on this. This is probably something I need to go run down. Sometimes things like this slip my mind. I haven't checked up on Arian Smith in a minute in terms of getting information on how healthy he was. Last thing I heard was obviously the knee surgery to go in there and clean things up. So I'll check into this one, Caroline. I'll get you some information on that. Panic 21. Should we throw in the towel as far as James Cooks goes? I'm tired of waiting for the breakout. Man, you and an entire army of Georgia fans are tired of that one. I didn't like what I saw Saturday. If you guys, and I keep reverting back to it, but we addressed it for probably 15 minutes of that live stream the other night for a quote-unquote elusive back. Everyone wants to say James Cook's so elusive, he's so electric, things like that. I ain't seen that dude make a man miss. It maybe a couple of times, but not like elusive's what Zamir looked like Saturday. James just looked like a guy that if there was 9 yards available, he got 9. If he had to make a man miss at 4 yards to get 9 yards, he was getting tackled at 4 yards. That's what I saw. I did like what he did in pass pro, which if you guys have ever listened to Kirby Smart in post-game press conferences, that's his nut. Like he loves watching running backs pass pro because it means they know the full offense. He knows the full offense. There's no doubt about that. He knows how to pass pro. He knows where his checks are. He knows when he's the hot. He knows what holes to hit. He knows all that stuff. Does everybody else behind him? I don't know. Kenny McIntosh looked comfortable. Kendall didn't. Kendall Milton, to me, looked like he missed a few zone or blitz pickups. Or maybe, it's hard. When you get thrown into your first game and you really know you're only getting a couple series, it's really hard. I don't take much into account for that, especially when you're that young. They're going to play all those guys every time they get up because they know it's a free year anyways. So you're going to see a lot of young guys make some mistakes this year when Georgia gets up in these football games. So with the men defense you talked about, what coverage do you feel works best? They play both zone and man off the back end of that. It doesn't really – what you play behind the front doesn't really matter because if you're in nickel, most of the time when they're in that mid defense, they're in nickel anyways, which is 5 DBs. Doesn't matter. You can run zone or man with nickel. It all depends on what the offense is giving you. If the offense is going empty, you got to play man. If the offense wants to go 2x2, I'd probably sit in zone, that type of stuff. Jalen Carter had a strong day. No one is talking about that. He's going to be a monster. Who's sleeping on Jalen Carter? If I sleep on Jalen Carter, I was told I showed Jalen Carter too much love in my mentions. So, maybe we didn't talk about him on this show because we watched Arkansas offensive tape, Georgia versus their defense, and then we watched 2019 tape from Auburn on offense versus Georgia's defense. So we didn't really get to see him. Next week, if it depending on what happens in Saturday's game, if it's another offensive stinker, I'm not going to review it on Monday. We'll spend our time talking about how good the defense was. I can promise you that. I'm not reviewing another stinker. I'll go through my notes, but you and I will watch defense and make you guys feel good about yourselves. Let's go to our next one. Another James Ivy's question. Do you think George Pickens chooses his own routes? No comment. On to the next one. Keon Laster. Is James Cook on bust alert in your opinion? I don't get into that because I'm not going to sit here and tell you whether or not it's confirmation or a miss by somebody else's evaluations. You feel me? When 2021's class, 2023's, 2022's class, 2023's class gets up in here, we can start talking about bust because those are guys that I personally evaluated. Does that make sense? These guys that were here when I took this job or that were quote unquote 5 stars at all these other publications, it doesn't look good for me to tell you that a competitor's evaluation was crap. That's not my job. My job is to evaluate and then tell you my evaluations were crap or my evaluations hit, which is what I'm trying to do moving forward. Just don't. I've never believed in star systems, anyways. Um, I think you should just maybe give a scoring on kids. I don't really know. It's hard. There's so many kids. They only get to see them a couple times. I'm sure they're watching highlight tapes, things like that. But there's a lot more misses sometimes than there are hits, if you know what I mean. Go back and look at 2012's 5-star rankings. See how many of those 5 stars you actually know names of now that you've been separated from it for a little while. It won't be that many. Trust me. Here we go. Paul Kirkland, what do you think the weakest link in the DB lineup? We talking against coverage or are we talking against the run? Coverage ability, I think Mark Webb can be a little bit of a liability sometimes in the back end. Run-wise, he's the best one you got. So kind of a two-edged sword, but I think I just answered it a little bit for you. If we're talking coverage ability, I worry about Mark Webb sometimes. I do worry that, Richie gets beat on double moves occasionally, but I live with that because he gives you so much more on all the other downs. Here we go. Andrew Stanley. What is your take on the D-line situation at Auburn after the UK game? Personally, they seem a little small for me, but they held up pretty well against the Big Blue in the second half. I thought they got bailed out by a lot of calls in that football game. I'll be honest with you. And I kind of had it off to the side. I'm getting ready to do my pregame notes and stuff like that for Georgia's game against Arkansas, so I wasn't really watching it play-by-play, and I don't have enough time to sit here and go back and do a full-on deep dive because film study is not the only thing I do, obviously, guys. So I didn't really watch it that much. I don't feel like making an opinion. I know they are pretty small, though. Who starts the QB Saturday? Stetson Bennett. Already hit on it. Thank you, Gerald. The problem with Cook is they keep trying to run him up the middle, but he doesn't look good regardless besides picking up the blitzes. Agreed, Ghost Bomb. I'm just going to call you Ghost Bomb from now on. P. Rich. Them straight facts about Cook. He even hit the hole and slit. Man, when I saw an SEC running back slide to avoid contact, I about threw my notebook. If the wind blows the wrong way, Cooks gets knocked over. Man alive, we're tearing him apart right now. Savage Dollars. I think we're using running backs the wrong way. Zeus should be the first and second down back and bring in Cook on third down. What's your take? Savage, this is when you're running into something we call tendencies. The last thing you want to do is give the defensive coordinator dead giveaways of what you're doing. Okay, so if I run Zamir White out there on first and second down and then James Cook out there on third down, what does that tell the defense? It tells me when Zamir's in, more than likely they're running the ball. When James is in, more than likely they're passing the ball. That's a dead tendency and a dead giveaway, things you're not trying to give to defense coordinators. So the best bet is to keep rotating them. Just keep putting them in the lineup and using them differently while they're on the field in their own series and stuff like that. We're going to take a few more here. We're almost at an hour. Is having a starter on special teams like Zamir White being on punt block a result of Scott Cochran, or has Georgia always done that? Kirby's always made his stars play special teams. If you want to play at Georgia, you play special teams. End of story. Don't care who you are. If you want to play at Georgia, you will play special teams, unless you're an offensive lineman. Even defensive linemen play special teams. Do you think, based on what JT Daniels did at USC, that he might be the best quarterback for the system once he earns it, or does it cater more to someone like Mathis? So, Captain Battle, my opinion on what happened with Daniels at USC is you're evaluating an 18-year-old that should have been a senior in high school, first of all. You're evaluating a guy that was on, I believe, a 5-7 football team. Not a lot right there. And it's been a year and a half since he's played competitive football. And the last time we saw him, he put up 210 yards in the first half. He looked pretty darn good heading into his sophomore year. It's really, really hard to tell you what he's going to look like until we get to see him in action. I know the arm talent is going to be insane. I know he's going to be able to flick it from all different platforms. What's he look like on the run? Because he did give me Aaron Rodgers vibes on the run, where he can just do enough to extend plays and has really, really good arm talent to where if he's running to his left, he can still hit any throw on the field. Chill out on James. It was game one. It's not fair to call him a bust. I ain't call him a bust next, Kobe. I don't do the bust stuff. Here we go. Our weakest link on O-line is OG. He's talking about guard. Ben and Justin have to get better if we want to average 5 to 7 yards a carry. These are facts. That's why you put 2 exclamation points there. They stunk Saturday, and I don't know who we have behind those guys outside of Trey and Warren. Well, you get Clay Webb back. There's that. He's put on some weight since high school, so he was a highly talented guy as well. Pretty talented football player. So you have that. Yo, Brooks, I think people sleeping on Stetson a bit. These are facts too. He shows a very good ability to avoid the rush and keep his eyes down the field to find an open receiver. I like that against a young secondary. Warranted, reasonable comments here from P. Rich. Again, it goes back to that ceiling versus floor debate. I don't think Stetson Bennett's ceiling wins you a national title. I think Stetson Bennett's ceiling wins you the SEC East. If that's what you're comfortable with, that's fine. Now, the catch-22 of that is if DeJuan Mathis is your only quarterback, because JT Daniels may or may not, we'll see. We'll see when he's healthy what he looks like. We still don't know. I know what he looked like at USC, but it was still 58% completion percentage. That ain't great. The floor of Stetson Bennett is, 8-2 this year. You lose to Bama and Florida. I think that's your floor. He's going to be pretty consistent. He's going to be 24 for 32 for 280 yards. It's not going to be anything world-breaking, I don't think, but he's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to make dumb decisions, and he's going to put you in winnable situations. The floor of DeJuan Mathis might be 7-3, 6-4, but the ceiling is an undefeated season and a national championship. Same thing with JT Daniels. The floor with JT Daniels might be he starts 8 games and turns the ball over 12 or 13 times. The ceiling might be a national title. I don't think your ceiling is a national title with Stetson at quarterback. To me, it's no different. Jake Fromm was a better football player, but Bennett's playing in a more favorable quarterback system. So he's liable to put up the same stats that Fromm did. You understand? Like, that's, to me, what we're looking at right now at Georgia. Last question, not even a question. I think people know how good Solomon Kinley was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, any more questions? We got a handful of people on here. I'm going to give you 35 seconds to throw those questions up in this joint. All right, last question of the night. Here we go. You think Jake Fromm would have done well in this offense? Absolutely. It's all about decision-making and processing and making decisions quickly. Man, Marty, you hopped in this one late, brother. We're about to bounce out. Who do you think is the most important position or player to the O besides that of the QB? Left tackle. If you got a good left tackle, you're going to be all right. I do think it's great to have a wide receiver, but if you can't protect the guy, it don't matter. And these things line up with NFL salaries. Go look. Highest paid. You ever watch The Blind Side? Highest paid player on the team, quarterback. More than likely, the second highest paid player on the team, the left or right tackle, depending on the arm of the quarterback. If he's left-handed, it's going to be the right tackle. Follow the money, ladies and gentlemen. That's all that matters. All right, folks. I appreciate y'all for being here. We will see you guys on YouTube at least and on the live streams on Twitter. We'll see you guys Monday night. But everything you need this weekend about Georgia, dogsdaily.com. You guys know where to go. I really do appreciate the support you guys have given me on this channel specifically. I know some of you guys come from Twitter, but the support that I've gotten and gained on YouTube is beyond any comprehension I ever could have imagined. So, gracias, mi amigos. Appreciate you guys for doing that. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you guys later.